Let's, yeah, let me set this down. I'll hop in there with you, and we'll just drive through. Okay. Or we can back up. Here, I'll get them here. Hey guys, Dusty Baker, Cross Timbers Bison. Welcome back to our channel. This is Belle Star, one of our first 5 bison that we ever raised as a yearling, part of the Dunbar herd, from Gerald Parsons bison. When we started in 2018, Belle Star is one of those 4 females that I got. So, tell you a little story. I'll just tell you kind of what happened. And Marissa and Brooks and I came out here this morning and did a herd check. Actually, it's about 11 o'clock. Did a little pasture rotation. We rotated the Big Joe herd from pasture 1 to 2. Let's do a little herd moving here. Let's take the Big Joe group, a bunch of mamas, and some red dogs. We're going to move them from pasture 1 to 2. When we rotated them, Marissa saw Belle Star. She wasn't with the group. She came in late, and she goes, she's had a calf.
She just had a baby.
Did she? That's Belle. Did you see Peaches? And I was like, I saw some stuff hanging from her. My immediate reaction was, well, why is she leaving? And so I was thinking, well, she wouldn't leave her calf. Come on, let's go. So we drove through the pasture briefly, and I'm like thinking, she didn't have a calf. I told Marissa, I said, I think she's about to have a calf. We both looked at each other and agreed. And we were like, I think she's about to have a calf. And we've never caught that on camera before, ever. We checked her, we watched her for a little bit, and she just kept walking around pacing, but she kept having the pre-birth. It was the placenta membrane that was hanging out of her. And I'm like, oh, she should be having a calf any moment. We left her alone. We went to go see the Dunbar herd and check on them and Haas. And we're like, we'll just give her time. We came back, and she was laying down like this. And still had the pre-birth, the placenta membrane hanging out of her. And with some fluid. And so she hadn't had the calf. So we just left. And I was like, well, I'll go get my drone. We were gone for an hour. Brooks fell asleep. She needed to go home for a nap. So we took Brooks home, laid her down. I grabbed the drone, came back out to the pasture. I pulled up into our main area, the trap. flew my drone, and I'm like, that's the safest way to check our bison for calves and to check and see how she's doing. So flew it, and I zoomed in, and immediately I noticed that the calf's head wasn't up and it was laying flat down. I'm like, oh man, she just had her. She just had the calf, and the calf wasn't moving. I zoomed in with the drone, still wasn't moving. She was licking on it. My first reaction was, I gotta go save it. I gotta go do something. Knowing that there's probably not a good chance I'm gonna not even get close to her. So I pull down here. And I know what I'm about to do is dangerous. And I would only ever attempt this with bison that we've raised. I wouldn't do this anywhere else. If you ever go visit bison or in a national park, never attempt this. But I pull down here and I kind of park in a certain angle where the calf is under me. And the only reason I attempted to do this because I know that when you raise sheep, I grew up helping raise show lambs. I used to show lambs, part of 4-H and FFA. That was my project in FFA. When those lambs are born, they need a lot of help sometimes. And you can swab their mouth out. You got to make sure all that birth sac stuff gets out of their mouth and that they're cleaned off. They're good to go. With bison, you essentially never have to do that to them. You never have to do anything. They just have red dogs, and they take care of them. You never have to hardly ever pull them or anything like that. And so I pulled down here just to get a good look, and I know my distance with her. I know I can't get too close with her, but she's calm with me. And I pulled up here easy, and I was able to sort of get up close to the calf and keeping my distance with her because she's got some gnarly horns on her. And I know I can't get my hands on her very much, but I did try to start pumping on the chest a little bit, make sure the mouth was clear and everything. I made sure to see if it even had a chance. And with keeping my distance from her and my own safety at check, I realized what we were dealing with here. When you do these videos and stuff, and you promote this awesome animal, we show it all. We show, part of ranching. It doesn't matter what you're raising, any livestock. Part of ranching is dealing with life, right? Even though these are good, hardy animals and whatnot, it's dealing with life. Whether it's cattle, horses, sheep, goats, you deal with death. You deal with lots of problems. You deal with diseases. You deal with toxicity, and you deal with birth. You deal with your bison getting out. But in this case, we're dealing with a death, and this is our first red dog that we've ever lost. And unfortunately, this is part of raising animals. People have the joke for the longest time is you raise. That is sad. This is very sad. And I'm sorry to bring you a sad video. And this is one of those videos that I honestly, I talked to my wife, do we show things like this? And, it's like when the bison get out, I didn't film one thing at all. It's not my proudest moment. I was proud of my bison, and I was proud of all the people that helped us get them back in. But those intense situations, my focus is those animals and the people helping. Luckily, we got them back in. I did have an emergency respond, planned if our bison got out, and it worked, and we got them back in all safe and sound. But, when you have situations like this, you're like, okay, well, do we show that? And, we're real, we're organic, we do things where, we show you what happens, the good, the bad, and the ugly part of raising animals. And right now, this is the ugly side of it. And I know I'm not the only one that goes through this, whether you raise cattle, goats, sheep, horses, or bison. I know I'm not the only one, but this right here is absolutely hard to watch. So right now, she's having a hard time leaving the calf. She's been trying to get the calf to wake up. She's been raking it with his feet. It's a bull. I checked to see what it was. It's a little bull. She had half of it already cleaned off. It was laying on its side, and she hadn't got to that half yet. And I just left the drone filming while I was down here trying to... I mean, there's nobody here helping me. It's kind of hard to capture everything in the moment, but I left the drone flying and could catch some of it. But I know I didn't have much of a... There wasn't going to be a good chance of me even getting close to this calf to risk my own self to try to save it, but it was already gone by the time I got here. It's just a sad deal, and I really don't know what to think. Poor mama. She's a good mama. So, I called Kevin and talked to Kevin about it, and I called Doc and talked to Doc about it. I called Marissa and let her know. Alright, well, I'll just move my truck back a little bit. I'm going to give her some time. But Doc basically said, and I just like, Kevin said too, is stuff happens. And I asked Doc, I told him I saw the pre-birth, that placenta membrane, and it was hanging out for a while. He said within 15 or 20 minutes of that placenta membrane, that pre-birth coming out, it should be, a calf should be born within like 15 or 20 minutes. So I think this one was born dead, to be honest with you. Just the struggles of, in the cavity. Something didn't go right. A leg twisted or something. You've got a 30-pound animal going through a small hole. It's a blessing. Just like Doc said, it's a blessing that we do have these red dogs, and we don't thank God enough that we do have those red dogs, and you don't have to, we don't appreciate it enough. And then when you lose one, you're looking at it completely different. You're like, we lost one. I do appreciate the other 4 that we had, and what's crazy, we just got through talking about Belle Star here recently, because she had a daughter, so in 20, and she just had a calf, basically. Oh my gosh. Peaches is having a calf. Holy crap. Peaches is having a calf. There it is.